Welcome to Living Life with James, the podcast where real stories and real conversations help us to make sense of life. From personal journeys to expert advice, each episode gives you something useful, whether it's a new way to think about things, a helpful tip, or just a reminder that you're not in this alone. Let's keep growing, keep connecting, and keep living life together.
Hello, everyone. Today's guest proves the wildest journeys start in the most traditional places. Kim Rodgers, she began as a professor in Western medicine, but her personal health crisis, it kind of just led her to uncover a hidden world. Parasites, she's known worldwide as the worm queen, but she's built a global following, kind of exposing what's in our bodies and how it can impact our minds. And we're going to get into that today. She's part educator, part mythbuster, and part internet sensation. I can't wait for you to meet her. So everyone, please help me welcome Kim Rodgers, the Worm Queen.
Oh, thank you so much. That was so good.
Listen, I was thinking to myself, Kim, from New York City to Los Angeles, I have met some queens in my life. But I've never met a worm queen, so I am honored and excited to get into this with you.
Well, I'm so glad I wasn't known as the worm lady. It's not nearly as exciting as being a queen. So
no, and you are going to own it, and it's a title to definitely be had.
Oh,
Listen,
yeah.
We're going to get into it. Before we kick things off and talk about, science and mental health, what's one thing about parasites that would absolutely shock people listening right now?
They hijack your nervous system, causing you to have mental health issues. Yeah.
Speechless.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild to think that we could be roaming around here thinking that something's wrong with us, which is what happened with me. And really, it is just another frequency inside of your body hijacking your mind, making you feel this way, when deep down your soul is not really feeling this way. Mm-hmm. That is one big thing that I've changed a lot of over the last 4 years since doing all of this and being viral on all these social media platforms. Is my mental health was definitely the first and foremost for everything that I did.
And listen, we all know, and if you don't, you're going to know now, the importance of mind-body connection. Mm-hmm. What's happening in our body affects our mental health. It affects our mood. We're going to get into it. Kim, give us a little background on how you started finding this out, when you noticed there was something off, and the connection to your mental health.
So I actually did do a lot of these things because I had such severe PTSD. I became somewhat nonverbal. And I was on Klonopin for 22 years at 4 milligrams. And I wanted to get off of it because I was having the side effects like Parkinson's-like symptoms. And it's really hard to get off of a benzodiazepine. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to know what I was really like. I wanted to get off of all of my medications from Big P just to see what was I like. I hadn't really been with myself, just me, in decades.
And many people can relate to that, Kim, because this is something that I hear in all of my sessions. What is this going to look like? I'd like to see if there's a difference. So you're speaking to many people out there.
Yeah, it was really important for me to reconnect with myself. And I remember all the steps that I've done to get here. I did stellate ganglia blocks for my PTSD. And when I was there talking to my doctor, he said, you're never going to be the same, Kim, now that you've gotten off of the Klonopin. You're going to be different. And I'm like, oh my God, like how? Not even thinking that I would be different as Worm Queen heading in, right? Like... I never thought that my next level was parasites. I always just knew something was wrong with me when my husband and I started my self-healing journey together in 2019. We really did do it because my mental health was so crumbled. It wasn't even crumbling. It was just gone. Like I was doing everything I could, like physically I can handle my symptoms. Pain is just something I can push out of my mind. But I feel like the hardest thing that I've conquered is my mental health and not being on any medications right now. I'm not on anything.
So, okay, I'm hearing, listen, you were on meds for a significant amount of time. What would you say was that turning point? What was that moment that kind of led you from this idea of Western medicine to this wellness space and eventually becoming the Worm Queen? What was that pivotal moment for you?
I started having Parkinson's like symptoms with the Klonopin, and I was going to go for testing. And at that time I was 40 or 41. I'm 46 now, and I've been on Klonopin since I was in my 20s. So I'll give a little bit of history behind what made me get to the points that I'm at right now. So in 2019, my husband and I decided to leave our lives. We quit our careers. We sold our business, or sold our house. We completely changed our lives and bought a piece of recreational property out in Hoodsport to build a log home.
Wow.
And we did that because I had stage 4 endometriosis. I had 13 surgeries, and I had a hysterectomy when I was 29 years old. And so we did not know what really else anybody could do for us. And my doctors basically said, this is just the way you're going to have to live. And that was affecting me. I had no contact with my family. There was a lot of turmoil going on in my life. And so my husband and I were like, well, let's just get rid of everything, sell everything, and let's move. And let's get our affairs in order just in case you don't survive our trying to heal you. So I really did step into a world that I wanted to know how I could heal my mind, because that's the first thing you really need to work on is your mental health, and the rest can follow. And that's really where I'm at now is it's following me and helping my body, because they are connected. And a lot of people think that your brain is actually the number one, but in my opinion, it's your gut. Your gut dictates what's going on in the rest of your body. So I needed to get my gut in check. I needed to figure out why I was becoming semi-nonverbal. But the reason why I got off of my meds and really started this journey is because I was going in for Parkinson's testing. And I come from Western medicine. I have 2 healthcare degrees. I'm a medical specialist, and my specialty is neurology and endocrinology. And so I worked with a lot of Parkinson's patients, and I saw their symptoms, and I knew what it looked like, and I was having them. And I thought, oh, I am so young, but I've seen people younger than me come in with beginning stages. So this isn't something unusual. But before I allow them to put me on medications and run these tests, I really should get off of my medications to see maybe that is what is causing this. And it's not me losing my mind.
I'm going to jump in and say this. I've noticed, and you said this was in my 40s, and many people, myself in my 40s, can relate to having that moment where you start to think about your life, your health differently, and you want to make some big changes. But I'm also thinking, gosh, I know so many people that have to take a step back in their 20s and 30s. This hits us at all phases in our lives where we say we have to get our health in check. Right? Gut issues, how that's affecting our brain, mental health issues, and what this looks like from having to take medications to transitions in life. So I appreciate you saying this, but more importantly, I appreciate you looking at this from different angles. That's something that I think, it can be difficult to look at it from, a medication angle, from a mental health angle. So thank you for kind of bringing it and tying it all together.
There's so many angles, and you're welcome. It really is something that I'm super passionate about, because I do have severe PTSD. And while I was getting off of my Klonopin, I became semi-nonverbal, where I wasn't able to connect. And when people think nonverbal, they're just like, oh, she's not talking. No, I could not connect my words in my mind to bringing them out verbally. It was like a stop. I could think them, but then I'd go to say them, and it would be like, no, I'm not. It just, and for me, I'm a talker. I've been a professor. I talk 4 to 6 hours a day. That was my job, and it is my job now. So to think that like I was in a point in my life where I couldn't even speak because my mental health was in such disarray, that it was important. And I've always had some mental health issues. And now looking back, I was around 12 when my parents put me on mental health Prozac and trazodone, because I now know, because I have chronic Lyme, and I got bit by a tick and I got Lyme. And so it all correlates looking back, but I would have never even thought about it if I hadn't started this parasite journey and I hadn't started taking mushrooms functionally and medicinally. I learned a lot about the way that herbs can affect you in such a positive way. And that's really what this kind of stemmed from, is that I was getting off that Klonopin. I was working on my mental health. I wasn't going to the bathroom. And I know that sometimes magic mushrooms can make you have belly things and go to the bathroom. And I know that they can also help reset your mind. And so I ended up growing some mushrooms, taking mushrooms, having a fun journey, going to the bathroom, doing all the things to help me. And then this all kind of started to download to me of like, it's not you. There's something else in your body that's causing you to feel and be like this. You got to dig deeper and find out what it is.
Before we get to the grand surprise of its parasites, this is, what I want to highlight here is kudos to you, but more importantly, anyone listening, there's not just one approach.
No.
Whether you believe in Western medicine, whether you say, let me look at herbs, whether you say, let's give mushrooms, let's look at parasite cleanses. And there are so many different options. And it's important to be open-minded, but more importantly, an informed consumer of your own, physical and mental health. And how can I get myself on the right track? And that's what you did. That applause to that. I wish I had the little applause machine to go off, because not many people can take a step back and say, really, let me look at the big picture. Or as I say, the drone view of what's happening here to get you to this place.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, I'm not saying that it wasn't a lot. I mean, we literally could not work because we were trying to do my health full time, but
it's changing.
I'm willing to do anything, right? And when you get to that bottom of the barrel, you're willing to do anything. I had no contact with my parents for 7 years, and my sister. We were living in the woods during 2020. So there really wasn't a better time for me to really get myself together and figure out, I want to watch my log home that we're building be done. I want to see what my life looks like. And I don't want it to be in a crippling state, whether that is physical or mental. And I do believe that mental is way more disabling than physical. You can usually push off, but they do go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
And so it was really important for me to figure out, okay, well, if I'm going to be chronically ill my whole life, I'd at least like to have somewhat of a clear mind. And so I started looking into the herbs like I talked about. Amanita was a really big one. Amanita muscaria is the same DNA structure as benzodiazepine. Big Pharma just took it, and like you can't patent a plant. And so I learned a lot about plants. And I come from Western medicine. It's what I'm classically trained in. And to be able to switch thinking, okay, well, this big pharma med looks like this. What plant can I take that'll break down better in my body? Because endometriosis doesn't allow the synthetics to really break down. It builds up. So it allows plants to break down though. And so I'm like, do I really have endo? Like I'm questioning everything I know, right? I was questioning everything.
Yeah, I can see why. But you're also looking at it not just from, herbs or being an herbologist, if you will, but you're thinking of these specific diagnoses and how it could potentially help and what that looks like.
Yes. So I started really getting there, James. I was almost there. I was like, I'm so much better, but I just wasn't good,
Yeah. What was that turning point where you say, okay, I'm bridging the gap here, and now this makes sense, and now this is introducing you into the world of parasites and how that can change your life?
This part's so exciting that I get to say this on your podcast, because it really is something that I don't think a lot of people realize when I tell the video. So I was scrolling and I was a little devastated because I still wasn't at where I wanted to be. And I came across this girl's video on TikTok, and she said, I almost unalived myself over worms. And it just made me stop.
Yeah.
Just stopped me. And I was like, I'm tearing up because
you can relate, you can feel it.
Totally. And I just stopped and I was like, oh my God, maybe this is what's wrong with me. Maybe
Mm.
this is the next step to get me to the next level, because I had done stellate ganglia blocks at this point, which is stellate ganglia is like your nerve, like your, it's a, I'm trying to think of the word. So it's in between your PTSD. It causes you to stay in fight or flight, and you can reset that with injection. So it's a nerve block. Sorry, it's a nerve block. So it'll block that from continuing to just go haywire and allowing you to have some silence in your mind.
Okay.
And so I'm a huge SBG fan. I do them often. You can do them a few times a year, but it's super helpful as a nerve block because it allows your brain to quiet down. Well, I was doing those and I was quieting my brain down, but it wasn't to a point where I was like, I can sustain this. It would be good, and then it would go away, and I would come back with the noise in my mind, and then I would go back and it would go away. So it was like this, how long am I going to be able to do this? You know?
I'm not saying I need something, I need something else. I have to take this to the next level.
Totally.
As many people do when they're dealing with physical and mental symptoms.
So as soon as I saw this girl's video, I immediately purchased exactly what she said, which is just like a 30-day parasite tincture that's on Amazon. It was like $30. And within 3 days, the pain in my side that I was having that would tell me I needed surgery, which I can't have any more surgeries for endometriosis. I maxed it out, and the noise in my brain stopped.
Wow.
And I saw flukes, pinworms, and roundworm in the toilet that day. And I thought, this cannot be real. Like, are you serious right now with me that like this wormwood, clove, garlic recipe just pushed whatever was going on in my body that I, for decades now, in my mind, where I took all these meds? Are you serious right now? This is it? And I have not stopped since that day. I have done this every day.
Can we, I mean, elephant in the room, I'm going to put it out there. So I have seen and heard your videos and you know, you sharing your story, but let's pause with that moment that you were seeing worms.
Yeah.
What was that like? I mean, I can't, I'm fascinated. It's like you want to peek behind the curtain, but you're also a little kind of grossed and like shivery and like, what the hell was that like?
Well, I'll set the stage a little. I'm out on my raw land that we're building our log home. I'm living in a travel trailer, and we have this thing called an S shed. And it was a real toilet with a bidet and a squatty potty, because when you're building in a trailer, you want to have a real toilet. Like you need to have two, really, for you and your husband. You should have two toilets. And then it's like a real, you feel normal. So I'm in this shed, and it's just like a 5x7. It's not very big, but we called it the shit shed. And so I'm sitting in there, and when I stood up and looked, I actually sat down on the ground and cried for a minute because I felt so much better. Wow. And then I thought, wait, have we been lied to? And then I thought, oh my God, is this what was wrong with me this whole time? Like every emotion, every download, every thought just all hit at once when I saw these. And I didn't even have to dig, because there's 3 types of cleansers. There's flushers, lookers, and diggers. And I'm not a digger, no judgment, but I don't dig. It was just floating at the top. So I was a looker. It was just floating there. You could see them. You knew exactly what they were. I had thought that I had worms a few years before, and I was gaslit to think that a first world country could not have worms. And I'd have flares during the full moon. So this was around the full moon. And I was like, oh my God, like, is this the secret? Right in my mind, I'm like, is this their secret?
I can't even imagine I'm feeling your emotions. Like, I mean, there's so many different things, probably the excitement, the sense of relief, as you described, but also, I mean, you literally have worms coming out of your body.
Yeah.
Talk about, I mean, a level of shock too.
I was shook. I immediately flushed. I left the shed, and I looked at Jeremy and I said, you'll never guess what's going on with me. And he was like, what? And I go, I think I have worms. No, I don't think I do, babe. I have worms. I think you have worms. And of course, he's in the worm denial world at this point. And he's like, we don't have worms. This is a fluke, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, I saw flukes, so it is a fluke.
Kim, who wants to believe there are worms inside of your body? This
God.
is something you think about your pets, not us.
Right. But we're human, we're mammals, we're animals, right? And they live in all of us. There's 95% of us have worms. Like there's just no way around it. And that's a nice number. I really think 100 of us here, at least in Western medicine countries, have them, because even coming from this world, I was academic. I ran 25 healthcare colleges. I wrote curriculum. I wrote books.
Okay, Kim,
And I had no idea.
I want to do la 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 la. I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear this, but I do. And
Yeah.
So people that are listening, like, let's keep this real.
Yeah.
I know there are so many people that are listening that want to slam the computer, go up, scroll. I don't want to know this.
Right.
But I do.
Yeah.
What is really behind this, right? It's like the dark web. There's
Yeah.
worms in my, it could be affecting my mental health. Kim, what do we got to do?
So I did find a document in 2016 when I was, looking around on the internet, and I did find something that says that a malignant tumor can represent endoparasites. And at the time when all of this happened, it just hadn't clicked. And I was going through like all of the things that I had screenshotted in 2016. And I came across this document the CIA had loaded up. And I was like, oh, I mean, this all makes sense now. Like, oh my gosh. But then there's guilt, right? Because I come from Western medicine and I never thought this could ever be a thing. I also brushed past it when I would write curriculum. And when I would talk, I would be like, well, we're a first world country. Our water isn't contaminated. And all of these things are not true. And we're just like everyone else. And other countries do know this is an issue, and they actually prepare their citizens, where we just have never done that. And so it really, at that point that day, it lit a fire under me.
It's not just a third world country thing. I've done my research before talking to you, and I see and hear how they can even, I've heard the stories of being in the shower and drinking water, and even here in the USA, and what that does to you. So listen, this is what I want to say. Listening to this, hearing you, having you as a resource, I tell people, do your homework, right? Whether you are, as you said, many of us are in denial, whether you want to believe it or not, let's just keep an open mind and listen. Yeah. Because as in your story and many other stories, there is something about this, and it can be extremely helpful and even life-changing. So let's just keep an open mind and listen, right? Yeah. Because there is something that's really impactful about this and how it can change your world.
Well, in the way that I created, and we'll definitely keep talking about my story, but I want to pivot just a smidge over to the reason why I created my company and the Parasite kit, the Parasite Cleanse kit, is because I had small intestinal worms, and they actually make you feel unworthy. That is where that emotion stems from, in your gut. And so it's really important. It's one thing I do say often, is that it's time for me to cleanse when I start to feel unworthy of myself. I know I'm really great. I know that I'm smart, but they actually are on a live frequency in your body. They can brainwash you.
Talk to me about that correlation of having worms in your body and feeling unworthy.
Well, they can go in and they absorb nutrients. They can absorb up to 90% of your nutrients. And those nutrients that are like serotonin, maybe you take extra serotonin, right? They eat serotonin. Serotonin is your happy hormone. It makes you feel good about yourself. Well, they eat that, they absorb it. And so it really is important to know that when you're starting to doubt yourself or feel bad about yourself, it's probably not you. You just need a really good cleanse. Yeah. That's kind of what this is all going to at this point. We are all in some sort of a chronic illness state. And it's like these herbs will just help you. They're not going to hurt you. And that's kind of what I had to get past too, coming from the big P world, big pharma, over to herbs, is that these things are only here to help you, and your body actually knows how to break them down. And so if you start to feel unworthy, you have something going on. If you look at like reflexology, it literally is in your gut where that hormone is cleaned and developed and given to you and put through your system. And that's also why Mhm.
Yeah, I hear you saying the unworthy part. What else, or in your experience of doing this, what are parasites really doing to our mental and emotional health? I'm hearing unworthy. Can you identify or describe any other ways that it's affecting us?
Well, because they can live in our lymphatic system, and specifically here, there's a connection from brain to here, and when you have something obstructing it, just like when I say go get a stellate ganglia block, it's because there's an obstruction here of some kind that's keeping my brain to connecting to my body, which then stays in fight or flight. Because they hijack our nervous system and they absorb calcium and magnesium and vitamin B, all of these things are required for our bodies to operate and allow us to not be depressed and not be anxious. And they're absorbing all of that. So your body's just like, I'm in fight or flight. Like, I don't know what's happening to me. I'm going to stay in fight or flight, not in rest and digest. So your body's never getting a break. They've hijacked our lymphatic system. They've hijacked our nervous system, really requiring us to do extra work. And your body is tired. And so it just kind of ends up being like a hamster wheel. You're constantly in this hamster wheel. And you can never get out of it.
This is really fascinating stuff. You get a worm kit and you get a worm kit and it's almost like everyone should do this, because it clearly it affects our body, then affects our minds, but it's something that not many people know about. What's something that most people probably misunderstand, or when it comes to cleansing and detoxing?
That it's going to hurt you. That like it. I don't know if you saw the ad or the August 8th, Heidi Klum is doing and then they said it could be fatal. Yeah, it's fatal to the worms.
I did see that. I've heard, celebrities, and in this case, Heidi Klum.
Yeah, it's fatal to the worms. It's not fatal to you. Right. I mean, honestly, there's nothing in there that's fatal that's gonna hurt you or unalive you. It's crazy. They just are fear mongering, because it really is. You can see from the day I went viral on TikTok, July 18th. I've done this every single day. I've never taken a day off. I have filmed myself every day. You can see the progression in my healing journey. Wow. I talk about it so often because it's something you should just put into your life 3 to 4 times a year. You should use the kit. You travel. I travel a lot. I eat questionably here and there. I don't eat fish anymore. I'm really careful about my seafood. I'm conscientious about what I put into my body now. But then sometimes I just want to be human. So I live an 80-20 life. Yeah. And I want to just cleanse then. And that's really what this is all about. This isn't like, oh, we've all been doing this wrong. Well, other countries take a synthetic or they use herbs to cleanse their body. They're knowing of this. We've just been somewhat indoctrinated by Western medicine because that's our country. Yeah. And now it's time for us to wake up and be like, okay, what can I do to be a patient advocate and have sovereignty over my own body and not feel trapped inside of it? Because when you have a mental health issue, you are trapped inside your body and it feels like you can never get out. And that is a hopeless feeling.
Yeah, and and I'm glad you're saying that. I'm sure many people can relate. And listen, thanks to the power of social media, I know it's true because I've been seeing the power of social media. Fact check things that are fact checked, but I've been seeing real videos, not AI videos, of people that are getting a fish or meats, and they're literally showing worms crawling. Or the one that blew my mind recently, I saw someone that fresh picked all these cherries, and I love, I'll just go to the grocery store and bring home cherries, and she did a close-up and she's like, I'm rinsing my cherry, and there are worms crawling out of the cherries.
Yep.
And I can't imagine how many people just, eat produce and you're being healthy, eating meats, and there's worms in them.
You're not cleaning them. You're not cooking it. Like, you're eating raw produce out. I mean, these are ways to catch a parasite. They're normal. And we've just villainized the situation to think that this isn't a normal thing, but this is very normal. They're doing their job. They're decomposers.
Well, and going back to what you said, because it's so true, and I can even relate. I'm glad we're having this conversation, people. I'm glad I have the Worm Queen here, because the reality is there's a big part of denial.
Yeah.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know those little worms that I'm going to keep eating. I don't want to know if they're, so let's bring this to light and have these conversations. It's there and they're affecting us.
Yeah, they really are. They really are contributing to our chronic illness in the United States. It's really kind of a mission of mine at this point, since I have gone even more viral and I do have a company that can help support me, is I want some medical reform. RFK Jr. had a tapeworm in his brain. It's called neurocystic sarcoma. It ate part of his brain. So he has actually a dead physical tapeworm in his brain. Wow. And so this is a thing. He got it from pork, undercooked pork, but you can get them from fish, swimming out in fresh lakes. You can get them from your pets. That's a number one way, in my opinion, that you can get parasites is from your pets.
I'm going to get to that because I'm curious, but I'm wanting to know what is the wildest or maybe even the most hilarious reaction someone's had to your content or to knowing what this is about or doing this detox?
Like kind of fainting, I think, at this point.
That would probably be me. That would be me.
Crazy to see things. Like I get pictures all day long, and what comes out of people's bodies from our kit, they send us pictures mostly for me to identify them. So some of my day I'm looking at poop pictures and what else is in their stool. But I think
it makes for an interesting career. And
I think that the craziest things that have come out of the body has been mine. I had some worms swim out of my feet with a fulvic soak. And I have it on camera. And so I went viral in July over my parasite cleanse. And then I went viral again, like already very viral. 10.5 million people watched.
I'm going back to watch these. Listen.
Oh my God. It's so good. It's so entertaining. It's so entertaining.
I'm pausing and choosing my words because what I really need to do is censor and bleep my thoughts right now because I want to say, oh, hell no. Or like, it's almost crazy.
It's so sci-fi. It's so
as I'm talking to you, I always talk about the mind-body soul connection. I'm going to be silly and playful, but it's reminding me of almost the mind-body bug connection.
Oh my God.
And I'm thinking about that. Have you ever had a client or somebody that you've worked with who's maybe had anxiety or depression and they've noticed it improve after parasite cleansing?
Yeah, like 150,000 of us that have all cleansed. Every single person that's cleansed has had mental health improvement.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's really important to clean out your body to give you a clear mind and to reconnect with who you are.
What's one small practical gut health tip that you wish everyone who was listening would know?
Eating marshmallow root or marshmallows in the morning to help coat your gut so that you don't have these things stay in your intestine.
Marshmallow root.
Uh-huh.
Or marshmallows?
Yeah, there's a really good grass-fed marshmallow company that you can get on Amazon. They're like $40. And if you eat 2 in the morning, it's actually a yummy way to coat your gut so that it kind of acts like a glue when you have indentations inside of your smooth lining. And that's where like bacteria and parasites, H. pylori, diverticulitis, they can all live in there, right? And so it goes in and it helps coat that smooth lining, faking it out so that it grows even more around the faked out marshmallow. And then you can take my product and it'll help keep it smooth. And like on the way out, it's pushing things out of the gut and then it's killing them on the way out.
I want to know about your product in a second.
Mm-hmm.
I want to throw some parasite myths at you.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me if it's fact or fiction. Okay. Or maybe just too gross for dinner conversation. Okay. Here's one that I've heard a lot. You can get worms from kissing your dog. True or false?
True. Well, they're microscopic. Well, I mean, they're out there licking their butt, eating other dogs' poo, drinking out of puddles, jumping in the lakes.
All of it.
Yeah. And then they come and lay in bed with you and they're microscopic parasites. And I had the same parasite as my dog. I don't have dogs anymore, but we would deworm her sometimes and then we wouldn't. And then she went outside and pooped and then I'd step in it and I'd try and clean it up. And, it's a whole vicious cycle and you can't see anything. And so I say the number one way you get a parasite is from your pets. If you have pets, I'm sorry. You let them lay with you. And
my hands are sweating. I got 6 dogs. My hands are sweating.
You deworm your dogs, you need to deworm yourself at the same time. You all share the same microbiome. Everyone in your house shares the same microbiome.
So, here's, I think you already mentioned this one, but parasites are only a problem in third world countries. Fact or myth? You said, they're here. They're here in the USA.
Yeah. What do you think they stop at the border? Like, do people really? Oh, hold up. I do not have a visa to come into the country. I'm going to go ahead.
That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna exit right now. No, man, they and you could catch one, right? You could pick one up in Mexico if you're drinking like the margaritas with their ice. You don't know how they filtered their ice. Okay, well, our country's water is just as bad. By the way, I've tested it in multiple places in the United States. Seattle is where I live. They have nematodes because our country doesn't test for physical worms in our water, and that's what kind of led all of this to be where we're at right now, is that Hood's porch water is contaminated. So I was not drinking the worm water, but I was washing my produce. I used the bidet. So I was just shooting worm water at my bum. Now I stopped shooting worm water at my bum, but my husband didn't believe that it was in the water and he kept shooting it up there. And when we finally got tested, he came back with roundworm on his first test and I did not. Because I stopped shooting it up my butt. I'm like, no more worm water for me.
Listen, I appreciate your insights. I appreciate the education that you bring. But this really this is a TV show. Listen, producers that are out there, I want to be on this one because this is a new reality TV show.
New reality show. I mean, it's just crazy when and we were in the woods when all of this was happening and taking some mushrooms. So I thought, okay, is this real life or is this some psychedelic journey I'm on? I mean, there were moments, if I hadn't gone viral in July and had people in my comments, like when I say I went viral, it was 2 hours. I posted this video. 1 million people watched my one video in 2 hours. Over like 3 days, I gained 200,000 followers. I had 40 to 50 million views at one point in time over on TikTok before they redid their community guidelines and said, you're not allowed to talk about this.
People want to know about it. They want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about it. It's fascinating. It's gross. Creepy. It's everything.
Gross. It's great. I left urgent care because I hated parasites, and here I am, worm queen. So when I say things like I'm showing the videos behind me of the worms and the food, it's because I'm not just like saying this to say it because I have a product. I have a product because there wasn't transparency with any sort of products out there that I actually went viral on one of the products, and they would not tell me what they put in their tincture. And that was upsetting to me because I'm on a journey of transparency and teaching people in a community that you should always ask these questions and advocate for yourself. And when I ask them, they're like, yeah, I mean, it's just natural ingredients. And I'm all, what natural ingredients? Like, so
okay, here's, I always like to ask tips or tools from someone tips or tools from someone in your situation now. We already got, marshmallow root or 2 marshmallows. They're specific kinds. I'm hearing to do a cleanse 3 to 4 times a year. I'd like you to tell us about your cleanse. And then I'd like to know if there's any other tips or tools for someone's mental health or well-being that you can think of.
Yeah. So I have some links also in my profile and I can give them to you to put in the show notes. Okay. But I really do give everything you can ever imagine free. So I have free fast track guide, ebooks. I have drainage pathways, which is really important for you to actually drain your pathways. It's the 3 Ps, peeing, pooping, and perspiring, making sure you're doing those when you're doing a cleanse. You'll have a more effective, a lot calmer, less die-offs if you have those pathways open.
Can we find these on your website?
Yeah, on my website. You can email us. You can DM us comments. Like I have a team of 30. So I went from almost dying in the woods to I run a 10,000 square foot manufacturing facility we built ourselves because we make our own products, to 30 employees plus. And
Wow.
half of them are in our manufacturing facility. And then the other half of them are on social media because there's only one of me. And so I've hand trained all of them to answer and help. And this is a great community of chronically ill self-healers. And so it's really important for all of us to be together on all of this because it can be lonely. And I mean, you don't want to sit at the dinner table and be like, okay, I'm going to spew what I think is right about worms. And then everyone looks at you and then they think you're crazy and you don't have the right answer. So I never want anybody aimed out there without the right answer.
Well, thank you for saying that because that's important. You're saying there is support here. There's support
Yeah.
and guidance. So anybody that is wondering about this world or that wants to go through this process, you and your team offer this support.
Yeah. And you don't have to take our cleanse. Parify is the name of my cleanse. I have 3 cleanses. That one is the lymphatic cleanse. It's called the lymph, and it helps keep your pathways open, protecting your brain because I use lion's mane, helping break down anything in your body that could be a problem like scar tissue because of this or just any issues at all. And then I have the Parify Parasite Cleanse, which is a parasite, candida, and heavy metals. And the reason why I did those 3 is because heavy metals weight down a parasite. And so when you go in and remove the heavy metals, you've got to go in and remove the parasite at the same time. So it's all done in a system and you need to bind. And so these were mistakes that I made when I first went viral and I was first doing my first parasite cleanse is they were coming out of my skin. They were coming out of my urine.
Oh my God.
And I needed to like find a better way. And so I was showing all of these other people's products, zeolite, Oregon grape brew, which is a calmer small intestinal parasite cleanse, and then also wormwood. So all of these things were in these tinctures. It was really expensive. It was like $250 to piecemeal all of these things I was talking about. And at the time, my husband and I were very, very poor because I was so sick. I took us down to the ground. Like I was so sick. It's expensive to be chronically ill, to be honest with you. And so I vowed, I'm like, okay, I'm going to make my own. I'm going to do all of this myself. And it's $100.
Listen, I'm going to tell, and we'll make sure we put all the links for somebody to go to your social media pages. You are, I've been watching your stuff on Instagram, your website to get all this information. There is a lot here. I feel like I just came from a college course. I love the insight. I can listen to you for hours. There's so much here. While I'm getting a little skeeved out, I'm also fascinated and interested, especially with the mental health connection. So thank you so much for the information. Thank you for helping us draw the connections. Thank you for letting us know tips and tools and how this can affect us. I want to switch real quick because I got the Worm Queen here and I want to know a little bit about you and just here outside of us taking care of ourselves and our mental health. A little more about the Worm Queen. Are you ready?
I am ready.
I always ask people from different backgrounds these kind of staple questions. So Kim, Worm Queen, here we go. If you had a favorite book to gift or to recommend, what would it be?
Red light therapy book.
Oh, okay.
To teach you about red light and the importance of it and how it makes you feel and all of the amazing benefits you can get from it.
Yes, I do know firsthand about that. Okay.
Mark Sloan writes that one. It's literally called Red Light Therapy by Mark Sloan.
That up. What's a song that always makes you want to dance?
Go by Sam Bruno.
Oh, okay.
Have you ever heard of Sam Bruno? She's my podcast host and my best friend.
I'm going to go in right off after this. I'm going to go and listen.
Yep. She's great. She also has written Search Party, which is a really great song, and The Light. Those 3 are my favorite of hers.
I love this. What brings you joy lately, Kim?
Podcasting with my podcast, What's Eating You. We do a field trip and we're a touring podcast. So we go to people in different cities. So I get to travel with it. And then we get to sit down with all sorts of different people. And right now we're on a female biohack kick where we're interviewing and talking to females that biohack, and we're going to their facilities and showing their amazing facilities that they provide services inside of their community.
Okay. Wow. You're here for it. I love this. This is some amazing stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
With all of this said, we're talking about foods and things. What's your favorite kind of go-to comfort food, or maybe a guilty snack?
Oh, a guilty snack. I like Dubai chocolate, and that's the new thing for me. And dates. One of my friends makes a date Dubai chocolate, so it feels like, it's still good for you, but really.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to hit you up. I love dates, and I've never tried Dubai. Okay, these all sound yummy.
Yeah.
What grounds you when you feel off, Kim?
I go in to do my Therasage PMF mat. I love that. And then I also love cold, like cold plunging and cryo, but I live in Seattle and it's not really a thing here. It's kind of strange. Seattle's not really a health and wellness hub at all.
It's huge here in Arizona, specifically Scottsdale. I see
Oh, I'm going to be in the Scottsdale magazine. I'll have to send you the link. Yeah.
Absolutely. And if you're ever here in Arizona, please let me know.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I have a lot of friends there. I have one of my really good friends, Melanie. She lives in Scottsdale and she does a ton of all of this stuff.
Oh my gosh. After this, I'll have to speak to you.
Yeah.
I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your insight. I want to thank you for the knowledge that you're lending to all of us. I want to thank you for telling about your product and what you do. And I'll make sure we have the links in this. And thank you for being here. And thank you for giving us this information and letting us know really the effects of our mental health. Super important, super informative. Kim,
thanks for having me
so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Best. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Want to be a guest on Living Life with James? If you got a story or a message that you feel can inspire or help others, message me through my website or DM me on Instagram. I'd love to connect.